What's up, CHFFL? Welcome to Week 14 of the 2021 season. Last week before the playoffs, we're going to have dreams be shattered or come true as we determine both conferences' first round bye and the last playoff spot in the Faculty Lounge Conference. We'll look at that playoff picture before we get into the predictions for this week. Week 13, I went 5-1, bringing me to 54-24 in the season. The one I missed, Grant got another upset, this time beating Marty right after he beat Swan the previous week. Bannis narrowly missed dropping a game to Minnie. It was very noteworthy. He only won by a couple of points. Swan bounced back after losing to Grand to be Team of the Week with over 170 points. And the Game of the Week, Mark took down Stan as Stan's second half slide continues. Waivers this week, all about getting those defensive matchups for these big games. Parker spent 8 on the Saints defense. Bannis spent 3 on the Chargers. Also had Stan and myself. We picked up the Detroit running backs in free agency after the waiver period cleared because the starters are injured. Now, let's get into this playoff picture. The Faculty Lounge, pretty straightforward. Max and Mark are playing. Max is 1 game ahead of Mark, but Mark won the first game that they played this year. So whoever wins that is going to get the first round bye. Parker versus Stan, also straightforward. Whoever wins is in. Whoever loses goes home. Chappelle Show Conference is a little trickier. Marty plays Swan this week. Bannis plays Grant. Marty's at 9-4. Swan's at 8-5. Marty won the first game in that. So Swan, though, if he wins, he has a lot more points. You see the points at the bottom there. Swan at 1747, Marty 1611, Bannis 1603. Bannis, to get in, he needs to win, and then if Marty wins, he needs to beat him in terms of points. They're very close right now. Marty, same thing, he needs to win and then cruise on the points. So these games are all highly important. All of those guys really want to get that first round bye. It's a very even conference over there. None of them were big buyers. Now let's get into this week's matchups. We're going to go, instead of conference by conference this week, we're going to go in terms of how interesting the games are. Start with Wayne Brady versus Silky Johnson. This is just a coin flip. On paper, I mean, the question is JD going to sub in his bench players for his bye week guys? I'm taking Minnie because it's a coin flip and he has starters in as of when I made these slides. Next, let's go back over the Faculty Lounge Conference for Wes's Genie's Bunch of Good Boys versus my Clip Game Champions. West got 25 from Johnson and Friarmuth, the Steelers. It was a good game for them, and I only got 4 from Conklin. I'm pretty sure I spelled that wrong. Has a K. Apparently Elijah Moore's on IR. I didn't know that until I checked this morning. That's great news. I was really hoping he could help me in the losers bracket and then be a good keeper. West gets Kamara back, but really doesn't have a second running back this week because of buys and injuries. I'm taking West. This is on the assumption that he picks up a kicker. And even though this game may not seem to matter, matters for seeding for the losers bracket. And of course, I'm always competitive with Wes. All right, now let's get into the ones that have consequences for the playoffs. Chappelle Show. Grant's Rick James Couch versus Bannis Tyrone Bingham Crack Stars. Bannis has to take care of business here before he can worry about what's happening in the Marty Swan game. He got 38 from Cook on Thursday, which is a great start. But Grant got 22 from both Roethlisberger and Osborne in that Thursday game, so he's had a good start too. I don't know what's up with everybody doesn't have a kicker this week. I guess there are a lot of buys, but is Grant going to pick up a kicker to try and make this a little tougher to play spoiler? We'll see. I'm taking Bannis to roll here. Cook's 38 was really good to get him on pace, but I've lost a couple of games picking against Grant in these spoiler situations, so keep an eye on it. Next, we got the big Marty versus Swan game. Clayton Bigsby's Tricksters versus Ashy Larry's Snake Eyes. Marty gets 29 from Najee. Swan, 20 from Jefferson, but only 1 from his kicker. That's going to hurt in a very close matchup. You need those points. Marty has benched DK Metcalf in favor of DeAndre Hopkins. More stable. He hasn't performed like you want him to this year, but Metcalf hasn't performed at all, so it's lesser of two evils. On Swan's side, Darren Waller still out with that injury, and because of some bye weeks, he has Sony Michel in at the flex. This is going to be a tight one. It should be a high-scoring one. I'm taking Marty to edge out Swan and if I had to do a prediction on whether Marty or Banis gets the first round bye, I'm taking Marty at this point, but I honestly have no idea. It's going to be a very fun week to watch. Now let's go over to the faculty lounge for Mark's Poppin' to the Moon versus Max's Wickers Knickers. 15 points from Kirk Cousins, upstanding gentleman for Mark. Decent performance, quarterback not his big strength. I feel awful about this. Whenever I make a trade, I always want the other side to succeed. I want it to be a win-win. Both Swift and Jamal Williams are out after Mark traded for them. But Max is missing Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman on bye week, so he's not at full strength either. I'm taking Mark here. This is really a gut call. I went back and forth on these games. One of the reasons that the video is a little late is I just couldn't decide on who I think is going to get these. I think Barkley is going to finally have a big day. It's been such a disappointing season, and I think at this point everybody's kind of expecting him to keep disappointing, so my gut's telling me the opposite. Now, the game of the week, this had to be the game of the week because playoff spot on the line is bigger than a first-round bye on the line. Miss Neeson's Cookies versus Chuck Taylor Shamalamas. Stan is game of the week for, I think, the third week in a row. As said, the playoff spot's on the line. Stan got 34 from Chase Claypool, his defense and kicker. Not a bad start. Elijah Mitchell, though, ruled out for Stan. He's had a lot of injury problems. He's starting to Igwebuike. I should have just put Godwin there so I didn't have to try and pronounce that. Anyway, Parker, though, looks healthy and strong right now, not missing anybody of great import. Is Taysom Hill the quarterback answer for Pa? He traded for Russell Wilson, who is, it seems like he's still playing with a finger injury. I'm taking Pa. Obviously, I am a little biased because I have draft picks next year riding on this game, but I think Parker's in a better situation to win this. But we'll see. It's Stan's last chance to prove everybody wrong. Best of luck to everybody. This should be a very fun week. We'll see you for the playoffs next week.